Hello, welcome to Final Score. With a nod to tonight's big Hay Harrison fight, we've gone with two heavyweights on the sofa this afternoon. Garth, Crooks and Mark Bright are each 18 stones worth of pure footballing knowledge.
Between us.
Between you. It was a compliment, you see. You automatically look at me as if it's going to be an insult. It was a compliment. Enough of them. There's a lot going on, so let's head around the grounds for you now. I'll show you all the scores and then we will get the reports. The scores are as follows this afternoon in the Barclays Premier League. The early game, it was Aston Villa 2, Manchester United 2. United scored twice in the last 10 minutes to deny Villa victory. Carlos Tevez has had a goal disallowed in the first half for Manchester City. It remains goalless there between them and Birmingham. Also goalless between Newcastle and Fulham. Spurs are 3-0 up on Blackburn. First half headers from Bale and Pavlyuchenko. Peter Crouch has added a third in the second half. It's 0-0 between West Ham and Blackpool, although bottom club West Ham have had two decent penalty shouts turned down. There's never been a goalless draw between Wigan and West Brom, and there won't be one today. Victor Moses has just given Wigan the lead. And a fabulous goal from Johan Almanda is the pick of Bolton's 3 goals at Molineux. They were 3-0 up. Kevin Foley has just pulled one back for the home side. So, they are the scores. Let's get some more details for you on all of those games. We begin at the City of Manchester Stadium and Damien Johnson.
0-0, another lacklustre performance so far from City. Birmingham have defended bravely, but City have again failed to deliver the kind of performances you expect from a club of their pretensions. Tevez bundled the ball in the first half. It was disallowed for offside. James Milner had an effort saved by Ben Foster. The rebound brilliantly cleared off the line by Stephen Carr. Tevez just fired wide a moment ago. Roque Santa Cruz, a man who's admitted he has no future at Eastlands, is on as a second-half sub. Can he change things around?
Lee Martin's second of the afternoon means Charlton are 5-1 up at London Road against Peterborough. Portsmouth have got one back against Doncaster. Joel Ward, they're only midway through the second half at Fratton Park. And another goal has gone in at White Hart Lane. Is it more bad news for Paul Robinson? David Garrido.
I'm afraid it is, yes. Sorry, Blackburn fans. Tottenham lead here by 4-0. They are in cruise control, but Rovers only really have themselves to blame for slack defending. We'll tell you about the latest goal in a moment, but it started off with no one picking up Gareth Bale, glancing in at the near post from Rafael van der Vaart's corner. Bale then crossed deep for Roman Pavlyuchenko to net the second, the Russian having missed a penalty moments before. Peter Crouch looked to have made the point safe. He ended a 6-month goal drought in the Premier League, reacting quickest after Robinson saved well from Pavlyuchenko, and Bale has since netted a fourth from inside the box, his 8th of the season. Despite the scoreline, I have to say it hasn't actually been all Tottenham. Aurelio Gomez was saved to deny Hoylett, Emerton, Kalinic and Juve. 15 minutes left, Tottenham 4, Blackburn 0.
2 for Luciano Becchio this afternoon, 2 for Leeds. They lead Bristol City 2-1 at Ellen Road. Back to the Premier League at St James's Park. Steve Sutton's watching Newcastle Fulham.
It's still 0-0, Mark, but on the day that Andy Carroll expects fully to get his England call-up, the Newcastle striker has been denied twice by an inspired Mark Schwarzer in the Fulham goal. Schwarzer has also denied Lovenkrantz a couple of times as well. At the other end, Dembele has had a shot thundered against the Newcastle bar. It could have been 4 or 5 each, but it's 0-0.
Burnley have equalised at Turf Moor against Watford. 2-2 now between those two sides. Burnley were 1 up and they were then 2-1 down. To Upton Park, Alex Gordon-Martin. West Ham have had a couple of penalty shouts against Blackpool.
Yeah, they have indeed, Mark. Still West Ham 0, Blackpool 0. They'll be a little bit peeved they didn't get at least one of those penalties. The first, a handball by Craig Cathcart that looked pretty clear-cut from here. The game has summed up both these sides' seasons so far, really. Blackpool have been fearless, often to the detriment of their defensive shape, while West Ham have looked anxious in both penalty areas. Carlton Cole somehow hit the post 4 or 5 yards about 2 or 3 minutes ago. It's getting really frantic here, as you can probably tell. West Ham throwing everything and everyone forward, but it's still West Ham 0, Blackpool 0.
Cardiff were 3-0 up at Glanford Park against Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe got one back on the stroke of half-time. They've now got a second back through Danny and Gesson. 17 minutes to go there. Back to the Premier League. Wigan took the lead through Victor Moses against West Brom. At the away side, getting back into it, Harry Gratian.
Well, to be honest, it had the hallmark of a 0-0 mark until after 70 minutes, and Zogbia set up Victor Moses. Well-deserved goal, I have to say. His first goal of the season. And in the battle for points at the bottom, how precious could that be? West Brom have been disappointing. They've got 13 minutes to change it.
Some of the best football of the afternoon has been played at Molineux. Ivan Gaskell.
Yes, Bolton ahead just inside the first minute here. Then Wolves centre-half Richard Stearman with a brilliant flying header past his own keeper. Bolton had to wait an hour, though, for their second. Johan Almander with 4 tens from the judges. Twinkle toes and tucked away brilliantly. Strictly Come Dancing, it's not. Scoring it is. Then a wonderful team goal finished emphatically by Howden. Foley has just rattled one in for Wolves, but 3-1 down a bit late, isn't it?
The early kickoff was Aston Villa against Manchester United. Simon Brotherton, watch this one.
4 goals inside the last 20 minutes, with Aston Villa left disappointed, having let a 2-goal lead slip away. Ashley Young put the home team ahead after 72 minutes from the penalty spot, and Mark Albrighton doubled Villa's lead soon after from close range, latching on to an excellent left-wing cross from Stuart Downing. 2-0 up against a team they hadn't beaten at home for 15 years. Villa Park really started to believe, but United had other ideas. Federico Makeda shot high into the top corner 10 minutes from time, and then the equaliser, a header from Nemanja Vidic after 84 minutes. Unmarked at the far post, he guided the ball home. Villa asked lots of questions and gave United a tough game, but they couldn't hold on, and Manchester United draw on the road for the 6th time in 7 league matches this season.
Clyde have only got 6 points from 11 games this season. They're bottom of Scottish Division 3. They were 1-0 up at Berwick, but 2 quick goals have put the home side ahead. Berwick 2, Clyde 1. Steve Howard from the penalty spot has put Leicester 2-0 up in the East Midlands derby against Derby. And there's been another goal at White Hart Lane. David Garrido.
Looks like it's a consolation, this, for Blackburn. Bit of head tennis in the 18-yard box. Crouch tried to clear. It only getting as far as Genus, who's sort of backheeled it accidentally outside, only as far as David Dunn. He had a swing, left-footed, and straight into the bottom right-hand corner. Aurelio Gomez unsighted and with no chance. So it's now Tottenham 4, Blackburn 1.
And another goal at Molineux. Ivan Gaskell, you're in for an exciting finish.
Surely they can't be serious. Wolves 2, Bolton 3. Wolves, remember, were 3-0 down here, but they've come alive, and substitutes Steve Fletcher has come off the bench and stolen at the far post with a diving header, sneaked it in. It's 3-2. Surely they can't finish this by coming back. As I speak, Bolton with a chance. It just drifts over the angle of post and bar. Could be a good finish here.
Certainly been the pick of the games, Garth, hasn't it?
Well, that and what's happening at White Hart Lane. 2 fantastic games for tonight. But this goal here, where Wolves are now back in it 3-2, Fletcher wins the corner. It makes a great tackle on the edge of the box. It looks like a lost cause. Goes for a corner. It comes in, it ricochets, and somehow he makes his way around the back, gets a diving head at the far post, puts them back in the game. Fantastic bit of play by Fletcher.
We also see Almander with a great bit of individual skill for Bolton, just twists and turns inside the penalty area and slots it in. I think Holden as well, Garth's played well for Bolton.
Yes,
created one.
He's run the show,
I've been very impressed with him today.
He reminded me of a little Alan Ball. Blonde hair, little, and he's really forced to play. He's been brilliant today.
The leaders in League One, Brighton, down to 10 men for the last 15 minutes or so. Liam Bridcut being sent off there at Hartlepool. That's who they're playing. It's 1 apiece between Hartlepool and Brighton. There's been a 4th goal of the afternoon at Fratton Park. Doncaster were 2 up. What's the score now, Tony Husband?
It's 2-2 now, Mark, and a remarkable equaliser for Portsmouth, who were 2 down at half-time. Deservedly, Doncaster had that lead through James Hayter and James Coppinger. A couple of changes made by Steve Cottrell at the break, including bringing Joel Ward on. He promptly got a goal back midway through the second period. And then John Utaka's just crossed from the left. Neil Sullivan's come for the ball. He spilt it, and David Nugent, while on the floor, has managed to kind of throw himself on the ball, and it's just gone across the line to level for Portsmouth with 15 minutes still to play.
Don't panic, Hartlepool and Brighton fans. I meant Hartlepool were leading by 2-1 against Brighton. Don't panic, Hartlepool 2, Brighton 1. Just keep everybody on their toes, guys. That's what you've got to do. Alan Biggs at Glanford Park, a 6th goal of the afternoon for you.
It's gone to Cardiff, who lead Scunthorpe 4-2, and Cardiff needed it. Jason Kumas's shot deflected in off Olaf Inyana. The reason they needed it, Scunthorpe had come back from 3 down with goals from Kevin MacDonald and from debut man Danny and Gesson, really to make a match of it after Cardiff had started as if they'd asked their coach driver to leave the engine running. 3 up by 34 minutes, 2 of them from Jay Bothroyd, man of the moment, following his England call-up. The other one from Michael Chopra, but it's a real game now. Scunthorpe 2, Cardiff 4.
8 for the season for Sean Miller. Crew now 3-1 up at Priestfield against Gillingham. The pressure mounts at Andy Hessenthaler. There's been another goal of the afternoon where it was 2-2 between Burnley and Watford. James Mason.
And it's now Burnley 3, Watford 2. You can probably tell by the singing around me. Graham Alexander, the club captain and team captain today, back in the side, has scored from the penalty spot. Quite controversial as well. Martin Taylor was adjudged to have brought Jay Rodriguez down. They're pushing each other around and Taylor may get sent off with this. I'll come back to you in a moment to let you know, but it's Burnley 3, Watford 2.
First against third in Scottish Division 3. Stranraer top, now level with Annan Athletic through Michael Moore. 8 minutes to go there. To the City Ground, leaders at the start of the day. QPR against Nottingham Forest. It hasn't been a great one, has it, Mark Bishop?
The second half's been a lot better, Mark. Nottingham Forest 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0. Nearly 23,000 at the City Ground, watching a much better second half, a high-octane second half now. A double substitution has been made by Billy Davies, sending on the little and large duo of Adi Bowler and Earnshaw. Adi Bowler straight in the game. Lovely back flick to Gudgin. Terrific shot. What a save from Kenny. Then at the other end, the man who's on fire this afternoon, Adel Tarat, third effort of the day. Another brilliant save from Lee Camp. 0-0 with the clock ticking.
Blackpool should be a goal up at Upton Park, shouldn't they?
They have carved West Ham to shreds. Get to the edge of the box, work their way into the box, far post, put the ball across the face of the goal. Marlon Hayward, side foot, misses the target, chappers.
He's what, 4 yards out, 5 yards
he's
out?
He's right in the middle of the goal and it hits him on the heel. I mean, he's going back to the club, obviously, where he did ever so well at West Ham. Should be the winner. Should be the winner. I mean, he cannot ask for a better chance. Obviously, Charles was involved and it cut it back. Squared into the box. You're thinking, just tap it in. Hits him on the heel.
Sean Harrod's 8th league goal of the season has put Burton 2-1 up at the leaders Chesterfield. Steve May can tell us about it.
Yes, a bit of a shock on the cards here because it looks as if Chesterfield are about to lose their first league match here at their new stadium. It's Chesterfield 1, Burton 2. Substitute Sean Harrod putting Burton ahead with a shot on the turn which went in at the far corner. Chesterfield have in fact been down to 10 men for most of the second half after Derek Niven was sent off for an off-the-ball incident, and it looks as if Chesterfield are going to pay tonight. Chesterfield 1, Burton 2.
Dagenham and Redbridge haven't won away in the league all season. Abu Agogo, with 9 minutes to go, has given them the lead at Hoosh Park. Wickham, through Kevin Betsy, have taken the lead against 10-man Bradford on Peter Taylor's return to Adams Park. 8 minutes to go there, and the league leaders of League 2 are behind in Chesterfield. League 1 leaders Brighton are behind as well. Let's go to Paul Addison.
Yes, Mark, 3-1 to Hartlepool United now, and Brighton's chances of making their best ever start to a season surely gone. They're down to 10 men. Liam Bridcut was sent off. Gary Liddle gave Hartlepool the lead on 56 minutes. And then the third came from a brilliant James Poole header from across from the left-hand side. Poole for Pools, who lead 3-1.
A very, very strange substitution at the City of Manchester Stadium when Gareth Barry has come on for Carlos Tevez. We'll get the guys' thoughts on that in a minute, but Blackpool are knocking at the door at Upton Park. Alex Gordon-Martin.
Yeah, they certainly are, Mark. How this is still goalless is completely beyond me. First, Stephen Craney knocked the ball into the box, and there was Marlon Harewood against his former club, who completely missed the target from just 4 yards out. And then just 2 or 3 minutes ago, a Blackpool player was a melee in the air. I didn't see who it was. Smashed it straight at another Blackpool player. He must have been 2 yards out. It's still goalless here, but frantic end to this game with 5 minutes left.
Clinton Morrison has scored for Sheffield Wednesday. It means they're now 2-0 up on Rochdale. Manchester City, this substitution,
this is
Barry on, Tevez off.
Manchester City, you know, they don't score enough goals. I think they scored something like 14 goals, something. The worst in the top 7. They've been struggling all day to find a bit of creativity. So they need a goal. They're playing at home. And he's taken off Carlos Tevez and put on a midfield player. And you're thinking, who's on the bench? Joe? Roque Santa Cruz
is on.
He's already on.
Excuse me. So you're thinking, well, you know, a little bit more creativity. They've hardly created anything. I'm really disappointed in Man City today.
They struggled.
And when you make a substitution like that, it might be for tactical reasons, but it's it gives him another reason to be hammered by City fans and the media.
But he's brought off Tevez and put off Barry. Yeah. The interesting thing is that he's not brought on Jonah the striker or brought somebody else to bolster the attack. He's brought on Barry, which rather suggests he's happy with the point.
Can't be.
Yeah, you could read that into it. Let's go to Fratton Park. You can see it on the video printer. Goodness me, Tony Husband. David Healy's loan move to Doncaster's working out.
It is indeed, and he scored a fine goal to put Doncaster 3-2 up, a turn and shot from 25 yards. Doncaster's reaction to Portsmouth drawing level was to throw on another striker in Steve Brooker. It worked in getting them down the field. Healy did the rest. 3-2, Doncaster lead.
To Elland Road. I think last time we were there, Leeds were 2-1 up on Bristol City. There's been another goal. Leeds further ahead. Andrew James.
Mark, they are, and I'll mention the irony on this weekend of remembrance, and with the crew of the Ark Royal paraded at half-time, that it is, with respect, an Argentine sub in Luciano Becchio, who's got a hat-trick and is the hero for Leeds United. He came on in the second half. He's got 3 goals. John Stead with the only answer for Bristol City. And Luciano Becchio is the hero of Elland Road. Football has the power to unite. It's Leeds 3, Bristol City 1.
Let's go back to Molineux, where Wolves are trying to get an equaliser, Ivan Gaskell.
It's really pretty tense these last few minutes as I speak. Here's Fletcher closing in on the Bolton goal, pulls it back. Is it going to be there? No, it isn't. Mwamba was there when it really mattered. These are tense moments. Bolton were flying at 3-0 up with just over 20 to go here. Wolves have found 2 goals. Now they found some inspiration. Can they find the equaliser? We'll keep you posted.
There are some good games around this afternoon. Match the Day's on at 11:05 on BBC One tonight, a little bit later than usual. Newcastle have had a chance at St James's Park. Steve Sutton.
Yes, Andy Carroll just stroking the ball wide of the post. It's 0-0 this, but I'll tell you what, it's as good a 0-0 as you're ever likely to see. I'm saying it's 0-0. There's still 3 minutes of normal time left. Newcastle have been doing all the pressing, but they've come up against Mark Schwarzer in the Fulham goal in inspired form. 0-0.
3-2 between Carlisle and Southampton now. Dean Hammond, there's still 9 minutes to go at Brunton Park, and there's been another goal at White Hart Lane, and it's not to the home side, David Garida.
No, it's not. Blackburn have pulled it back to 4-2. Ryan Nelson lashing one home straight at Aurelio Gomez, but so much force on it that Gomez couldn't actually keep it out. Chris Samba with some excellent work, providing the opportunity with a strong header on the edge of the box. Is this a very, very late Blackburn comeback? I dare say it's probably a bit too late for that. Tottenham 4, Blackburn 2.
Dagenham and Redbridge are going to get that first away league win this season. 3-1 up now on Yeovil at Huish Park. Mehdi Elito with that goal. It looks like it's too late for Ipswich, though, against Barnsley, but Robin Bailey can tell us about Tommy Smith's goal.
Yes, it's a bullet-like header from a corner, and it really does look like being only a consolation for Ipswich. And I have to tell you what's been happening. You talked about the natives getting restless, and they're a pretty civilised lot down here at Ipswich. But when Thomas Priskin was substituted for Connor Wickham, they were absolutely furious. Priskin's been brilliant today, and probably been the only Ipswich player worth his shirt. They were absolutely furious. They were all on their feet. They were saying, "Keno out, you don't know what you're doing." They are absolutely furious at this situation, but they have got a goal, and I suppose they've got something to latch onto for these last 9 minutes. At the moment, it's Ipswich 1, Barnsley 3.
Furious in Ipswich, and are they furious in Manchester, Damian Johnson?
Many of them are leaving, Chappers, it has to be said. It's been another lacklustre City performance. There were boos all around the stadium when Roberto Mancini, the City manager, decided to replace Carlos Tevez with Gareth Barry. Tevez has been the man most likely to score. Had the ball in the net in the first half, disallowed for offside. He's had a couple of decent chances in the second half as well. Roque Santa Cruz on as well, so City's still looking for it, but too many balls going astray, not enough invention, and at the moment they're heading for another ball draw, 0-0.
Steve Sutton said that the game at Newcastle was one of the best goalless draws you will see. How there hasn't been a goal at Upton Park, goodness only knows. Alex Gordon-Martin.
You're certainly right, Mark. I don't think I've ever seen a game with more terrible misses. I think they can only be described at. Both sides guilty. West Ham with the header. And Danny Gabbard on just the headers over the bar. It's been unbelievable, really. Blackpool will probably feel the most aggrieved. In the last 10 minutes, they've had 2 excellent chances. And as I said earlier, Marlon Harewood just inexplicably, really, side-footed just wide. It's all West Ham now. They've got 3 strikers on the pitch: Picquion, Noble, and Benny McCarthy. It's dulled down a little bit. The crowd are a little bit quiet. But let's see what happens in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Let's hope there's a goal for West Ham's sake, at least. It's still 0-0.
Full-time whistle has gone in the SPL at Ibrox. The bad news for Aberdeen fans is that you have lost. The good news is you conceded less than 9. Ian Turner.
Yes, league leaders Rangers couldn't get anywhere close to the 9 goals Celtic managed last week against Aberdeen, but they did comfortably take the points. And talking of points, Aberdeen have now taken just 4 of the last 33 available. Rangers were 2 up after 31 minutes, Miller and Weiss netting, but the former couldn't make it 3 from the penalty spot just before the break, Langfield saving. Aberdeen have now gone 38 games without a win at Ibrox. Rangers 2, Aberdeen 0.
Hat-trick for Josh McCoy at Bournemouth. He got one in the Cup last week. He's got one today. 8 league goals for the season, 11 overall. Bournemouth lead bottom of the table, Walsall, by 3-0. The water bottles in Mick McCarthy's technical area at Molineux are taking one heck of a beating. Ivan Gaskell.
He's just smashed one into the back of the dugout, but if only the ball had gone in, I think it would have been a rather different reaction, because they were so close. Wolves were into 4 minutes of added time here. Stephen Moyakolo started the day as a sub, was brought in when Berra was injured in the warm-up, and he's just gone within an absolute whisker of levelling it for Wolves. If he just got another fraction, maybe a couple of more strands of hair on the ball, it might have sneaked in. It went wide of the post, hence Mick McCarthy's instant reaction. The poor old bottles.
Poor old Bottles there. Wolves were within a whisker there. Their great rivals West Brom were within a whisker at the DW Stadium, but there was no joy for them. The final whistle has gone. Harry Gratian.
And it was a deserved victory in the end, I suppose, for Wigan. Not a great first-half performance, but they brought on Victor Moses, and in the second half he just transformed this team. A couple of raids before he actually scored underlined his contribution. Then Nzogbia on 70 minutes broke clear, passed the ball to Moses. He still had an awful lot of work to do, and he beat Carson for the first time of the afternoon, and the only time as well. Up to that point, it has to be said, it looked like a 0-0 draw. West Brom were disappointing. They tried to get themselves back in the game, but really and truthfully, Wigan should have sealed the game when Di Santo missed a sitter on round about 80 minutes when he should have scored from 7 yards. 3 precious points here for Wigan, and West Brom were very disappointing.
3 precious points, Wigan. What have you just said to me, Garth? Let's go to...
Now, it only gets harder. In 5 out of the next 6 Premier League games, they have got Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea, as well as 2 Champions League games that are vital in their pursuit of a place in the last 16. It's finished Tottenham 4, Blackburn 2.
Final whistles going everywhere. Macclesfield 2-0 upon Aldershot. You may have just seen that go through. That kicked off 15 minutes later than all the other games, so plenty of time there. We're at Molineux now. Owen Coyle and Mick McCarthy shaking hands. What a game you had, Ivan Gaskell.
Absolute cracker. You wouldn't have thought that before it started. And by the way, there were 4 minutes of added time here, and by my watch and everybody else's here, they blew up 30 seconds early with Wolves with a throw-in by the corner flag. Never mind, it's gone now, the whistle blew. And at 3-0 up with not much more than 20 minutes left, Bolton should have been home and dry. Off to a flying start with Stearman's flying header past his own keeper, just 45 seconds gone. On the hour, Bolton stepped up a gear. Elmander's twinkle toes and cool finish, then a well-worked goal, well finished by the excellent Holden. But Wolves weren't done. Foley, then Fletcher helped to make it a rip-roaring finish, but it was all a bit late. Bolton hold on. They won it 3-2.
Plenty of goals in this Premier League. Fulham's dreadful away record continues, but they haven't been beaten at St James's Park. Steve Sutton.
They haven't. It's finished 0-0, Mark, and they've got Mark Schwarzer largely to thank for that. An inspired goalkeeper this afternoon. 2 point-blank saves in the first half in as many seconds. First from Andy Carroll, then from Lovenkrantz. He kept out Carroll a little later, did another save off Peter Lovenkrantz. At the other end, Tim Krul, not to be outdone, he made several fine saves. And when he was finally beaten by Dembele's fierce shot, the crossbar came to Newcastle's rescue. Andy Carroll, expecting that England call-up this weekend, could have had a hat-trick. The game could have been a 5 or 6 goal thriller. In the end, it was 0-0.
New leaders in the Championship this evening. As it stands, it's Cardiff. Alan Biggs saw them beat Scunthorpe.
Yes, Scunthorpe 2, Cardiff 4. Hugely entertaining game, maybe too much so for Cardiff, considering they were 3 up and should have been halfway back to Wales. But Dave Jones' side could be back on top thanks to their tearaway start. Jay Bothroyd with a goal inside a minute, then one for Michael Chopra and another for Bothroyd, his 15th of the season. He could have had a hat-trick later, but goals from Kevin MacDonald and Danny Ngesson on his Scunthorpe debut had Cardiff rocking before Olafanyana deflected in Kumas's shot to make sure 4-2 to Cardiff.
Ellen Road, Luciano Becchio had Bristol City rocking. Andrew James can tell us why.
The Argentinian second-half hat-trick won the points for Leeds, marked their first home win in the league since September. Becchio was dropped in favour of David Sommer for this game, but he proved a point by winning all three for Leeds with a clinical display of finishing. Bristol City must have thought they would maintain their great recent one when Stead equalised immediately after Becchio's first, but it was all Leeds after that. Leeds United 3, Bristol City 1.
And at the bottom of the Championship, Crystal Palace are off it. Mark Webber at Selhurst Park.
If there was an award for a value-for-money football match, then Crystal Palace and Coventry would be smiling cheesily for photographers right now, award in hand. A truly amazing match where the scoreline belies the opportunities Coventry had in this lion heart of a game. Palace's lead came from a thrilling free kick inches from Coventry's goal. Darren Ambrose wellying the ball past a wall of 9 Coventry players. That didn't dishearten Coventry, but Ambrose's second did for a spell. Ambrose again from the penalty spot this time. Since then, Palace caused the most scares in a game with more needle than a haberdasher's conference. Crystal Palace 2, Coventry 0.
And QPR are definitely off the top of the Championship this evening. Goalless at Forest. Mark Bishop, watch this one.
Nottingham Forest 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0. Billy Davies' side stretched their unbeaten home league run to 28 matches, but they've got Lee Camp to thank for that. The Forest keeper pulled off 3 terrific saves to deny the standout player Adel Taarabt. He was sensational today. He tormented the home side's defence. A double substitution from Billy Davies sent on Eddie Bowler and Earnshaw 10 minutes from time. It upped the tempo for Forest, but it came too late. A crowd of nearly 23,000 at the City Ground. Terrific second half. It's finished 0-0.
Bit of a shock in League One this afternoon. The leaders have been beaten. Paul Addison saw their 3-1 defeat at Hartlepool.
Yes, Mark, Brighton blew their chances of making their best ever start to a season. Beaten here 3-1. Neil Austin scored the first goal of the game, a simple tap-in midway through the first half. Gary Liddell and James Poole added the second and the third. In between times, Liam Bridcut was sent off. Straight red card for him for Brighton. And Gary Dicker scored what turned out to be a consolation for Brighton. Hartlepool 3, Brighton 1.
A minute to 5. Let's get the classified football results now on BBC One. Here's Tim Gudgin.
First, the Barclays Premier League. Aston Villa 2, Manchester United 2. Manchester City 0, Birmingham City 0. Newcastle United 0, Fulham 0. Stoke City and Liverpool kick off at 5:30. Tottenham Hotspur 4, Blackburn Rovers 2. West Ham United 0, Blackpool 0. Wigan Athletic 1, West Bromwich Albion 0. Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Bolton Wanderers 3. The N-Power Championship, Burnley 3, Watford 2. Crystal Palace 2, Coventry City 0. Ipswich Town 1, Barnsley 3, Leeds United 3, Bristol City 1, Leicester City 2, Derby County 0, Millwall 0, Sheffield United 1, Nottingham Forest 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0, Portsmouth 2, Doncaster Rovers 3, that's another latest score, Reading and Norwich City kick off at 5:20, Scunthorpe United 2, Cardiff City 4. In the League One, AFC Bournemouth 3, Walsall 0. Brentford 0, Milton Keynes Dons 2. Bristol Rovers 0, Leyton Orient 3 is the latest score. Carlisle United 3, Southampton 2. Exeter City 3, Notts County 1. Hartlepool United 3, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. Oldham Athletic 1, Huddersfield Town 0. Peterborough United 1, Charlton Athletic 5. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Rochdale 0. Swindon Town 2, Colchester United 1. Tranmere Rovers 1, Plymouth Argyle 0. And Yeovil Town 1, Dagenham and Redbridge 3. In League 2, Bury 0, Stockport County 1. Chesterfield 1, Burton Albion 2. Gillingham 1, Crewe Alexandra 3. Hereford United 1, Cheltenham Town 1. Macclesfield Town 2, Aldershot Town 0 in the latest score. Morecambe 1, Lincoln City 2. Northampton Town 0, Port Vale 0. Rotherham United 2, Oxford United 1. Southend United 1, Accrington Stanley 1. Stevenage 1, Shrewsbury Town 1. Torquay United 1, Barnet 1. and Wycombe Wanderers 1, Bradford City 0. In the Blue Square Bet Premier, Altrincham 0, Luton Town 1, Barrow 2, AFC Wimbledon 0, Darlington 1, Crawley Town 1, Eastbourne Borough 0, Newport County 0, Fleetwood Town 1, Rushton and Diamonds 1, Forest Green Rovers 2, Mansfield Town 1, Hayes and Yeading United 0, Grimsby Town 3, Histon 0, Kidderminster 1, Kettering Town 2, Cambridge United 2, Southport 2, Bath 3, and Tamworth 1, Gateshead 1. In the Clydesdale Scottish Premier League, Dundee United 1, Kilmarnock 1, Hamilton Academical 1, Inverness Caledonian Thistle 3, Hibernian 2, Motherwell 1, Rangers 2, Aberdeen 0, St Johnstone 0, Hearts 2. The Arnbury Scottish Division 1, Dunfermline Athletic 2, Wraith Rovers 0 is the latest score, Partick Thistle 0, Greenock Morton 0, Queen of the South 3, Cowdenbeath 0, Ross County 0, Dundee 3, Stirling Albion 0, Falkirk 5. Scottish Div 2, Airdrie United 0, Livingston 1, Alloa Athletic 1, Stenhousemuir 0, Brechin City 0, Forfar Athletic 0, Dumbarton 3, Ayr United 2, and Peterhead 2, East Fife 2. And Scottish Division 3, Arbroath 4, Montrose 0, Berwick Rangers 2, Clyde 1, East Stirlingshire 0, Elgin City 2, Queen's Park 0, Albion Rovers 1, and Stranraer 2, and an Athletic 2. In the Welsh Cup third round, Llanelli 1, Aberystwyth Town 0. Carling Premiership, Cliftonville 5, Ballymena United 0, Crusaders 2, Linfield 1, Glentoran 0, Dungannon Swifts 2, Lisbon Distillery 0, Coleraine 3, and Portadown 3, Donegal Celtic 0.
Here are the late kickoffs. Burnley 3, Watford 2. Barnsley winning 3-1 at Ipswich. Portsmouth 2, Doncaster 3, all in the Championship. In League 1, Leyton Orient beat Bristol Rovers by 3-0. These games still going on. Macclesfield 2, Aldershot 0. Dunfermline 2, Wraith 0 in the Scottish Division 1. And in the Welsh Cup, Llanelli 1, Aberystwyth Town 0. In the Rugby Union International today, that was a record 35-18 win for England over Australia at Twickenham. In Cardiff, Wales threw away a commanding lead to lose 25-29 to South Africa. Ireland laboured to a 20-10 win over Samoa. Live coverage of Scotland-New Zealand is on BBC Two now. While we're broadening our sporting horizons briefly, Formula One season comes to an end tomorrow. Live coverage of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix with Sebastian Vettel on pole from 12:10 on BBC One. Let's have a look at those tables then, starting with the Premier League. Manchester United are 3 behind Chelsea after a failure to win today. Arsenal could go second. City stay 4th with Bolton ahead of Spurs on goals scored. West Ham are still bottom, but they're now level on points with Wolves. Victory for Wigan means they are out of the bottom 3. Into the Championship, Cardiff returned to the top of the table thanks to a win against Scunthorpe. QPR couldn't end Nottingham Forest's unbeaten home record, but they did get a point. Derby missed the chance to go third as they lost to Leicester. At the bottom, Crystal Palace beat Coventry, which means Preston dropped to the foot of the table, 3 points adrift. Sheffield United are out of the relegation zone after winning at Millwall. 13th time unlucky for Brighton, who saw their 12-game unbeaten run ended by Hartlepool, but they're still top of League One. Charlton are up to second after thrashing Peterborough 5-1. Walsall stay bottom after losing at Bournemouth. Dagenham's win against Yeovil lifts them up 1 place. Into League Two, Chesterfield's leads down to 2 points after they surrendered their unbeaten home record to Burton, but second place Port Vale couldn't take full advantage. They drew 0-0 with Northampton. The bottom side, Barnet, earned a point at Torquay, but they remain 2 points behind Hereford, who drew with Cheltenham. Gillingham lost to Crewe. In the Blue Square Premier, AFC Wimbledon's lead has been halved to a single point. They lost to Barrow. Crawley unable to capitalise fully, they only drew. And at the bottom, Altrincham and Hayes and Yedding both suffered home defeats. Forest Green have gone up a place. And in the SPL, Rangers extend their lead to 4 points, courtesy of a 2-0 win against Aberdeen. Celtic visit St Mirren tomorrow. Hamilton remain bottom after losing to Inverness. Match of the day tonight on slightly later, 11:05 on BBC One, followed as ever by the Football League show. Plenty of good games today, plenty of good football, but Manchester City will dominate the story because of their failure to beat Birmingham.
Absolutely. They could have climbed above Arsenal. Drawn against Manchester United at home, probably acceptable. Not against Birmingham, who are in the bottom four. Didn't create enough chances, goal-scoring opportunities for me. When you take off Tevez upon a midfield player, booing from the fans.
Absolutely right. I think at this same time last year, or even this year, Mark Hughes had 12 games, had 21 points. Mancini's had now 13 games, he's got 23 points, and clearly the Man City fans are saying, well, hang on a second, same time, not much difference. 17 games Mark Hughes was sacked. It's quite clear that Mancini is all right for now.
The fans are disappointed with the style rather than the number of points, and the substitution proved it today. Thank you very much to you both. If you want to react to any of the football today, then you can. BBC Radio 5 Live from 6:06. It's 6:06 with me and Robbie. I still can't get over how young a photo that is they use of me. We will see you next week on Final Score. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you're right.